Comhairle. Last Comhairle, the motion put forward by Sinn Féin with regard to gas exploration is a prime example of the Darby O'Gill School of Economics. That's what it is. Sinn Féin would like us to believe that there's a crock of black gold at the end of the rainbow that's been ignored by government, but in reality, there is no such thing. There is no magic wand that we can wave over the ocean to make millions of barrels of oil appear. There is certainly no situation that a myth that has been presented here this evening can abate the economic difficulties that this country is facing. And it is disingenuous to have this motion before the House to state that there are $700 billion or pounds, or whatever way you measure barrels of oil, off this coast at this moment in time. There was an exploratory study done that indicates potentially that that sum is there, and Sinn Féin is inaccurate in its motion that it has before the House tonight to say that that sum of oil is actually off the coast. It is a notional figure based upon an estimation. Basically, what Sinn Féin are presenting here this evening, as Comhairle, is a one-size-fits-all approach to a tax regime and a royalty regime for the oil industry. Such an approach ignores the fact that the oil and energy industry operates on a global basis, and that the fact that Ireland, in its present situation, we cannot operate in an isolated way that would actually disencourage any investment required to uncover whatever natural resources are actually off the Irish coast. The fact of the matter is that over the last 40 years, there have been 4 finds, 3 of them off the coast of Cork, in Kinsale, which have been gas finds, and there has been a find off of Corrib, which is currently under development. Last night, Minister Rabbitte explained in his own response that the government's position is to encourage an improved rate of exploration and drilling to enhance the country's prospects of a successful find. The performance, as distinct from the promise of the 1970s, has been relatively poor to date, and greater activity should be encouraged to improve the prospects of a commercial find off the Irish coast. Furthermore, Minister Rabbitte said, in referring to the committee's implications that it was suggested during the debate last evening, that the Reform Committee structure, when it is in place, the Minister made plain his willingness to go into committee for as long as it takes to debate the State's policy in this important area over the years. He further indicated that it would be a matter for the committee to decide which other interests it wishes to hear from. And I am sure that if the committee's deliberations show up new, useful and affordable insights, Minister Rabbitte will be glad to take them on board. Now, to return to the motion, last Comhairle, tax incentives or penalties are not actually the issue here when it comes to oil exploration. In summary, it's a matter of geology and economics. And the issue is of balancing risk and reward in a manner that will incentivise exploration and extraction. During the 1980s, I'll give you an example of one field that was actually drilled. It's about 250 miles off the coast of Fenit, called the Porcupine Basin. Very treacherous waters, as Deputy Ferris would actually know quite well because he's sailed them quite a lot. This country drilled that water over the months of the summer. During that time of the year, you have 20 and 30 foot swells, 2- and 3-story swells in the month of July, which means that weeks can go by without a single hole actually being drilled. Now, that's in the height of the summer here. In the North Sea, they drill in water that's maybe 200 or 300 feet deep. In Irish waters, you're drilling in water in excess of 1,000 feet. And the quality of the oil that is actually being extracted differentiates as well. In the Sahara Desert, it comes out like a pint of Beamish. In the North Sea and in the Irish coast, it comes out with a far, far thicker substance than that, I can assure you. But to return to the issue that's being debated this evening, I find it very curious that Sinn Féin, at one level here this evening, are talking about a 50% tax royalty or tax penalty being put in place, yet 2 weeks ago we're arguing in favour of a 12.5% corporation tax being protected. Now, we either have a consistent approach from you or we don't, but we don't seem to have that from you. Last week or 2 weeks ago, you're saying we have to protect the 12.5% corporation tax. No, you want to actually slap the 50% tax on another area of corporation, so you need to be a bit consistent in your position. But more than anything else, when the programme for government was being debated here, I said to you at the time, because of the reforms that are going through this government, that there are obligations on you in opposition. Not just obligations on us in government, that you would bring forward realistic proposals before this House, because this country is in a very dire state. And it's not just the role of government, but it's the role of opposition to assist this country to get back on its feet. But what you have done this evening is you have purported a myth You have brought what is very much a Darby O'Gill School of Economics policy before us, and it just doesn't actually stand up. Whatever your motivation was, or whatever how realistic you were in the conception of this motion, the fact is that it is totally unrealistic in its delivery. Ciaran Lynch, I concluded this. The days of instant gratification, which were the style of politics delivered by Fianna Fáil, are over. The idea that you can come in here and say there's a quick fix solution to Ireland's economy are over. Sinn Féin had an opportunity to put a motion before this House this evening and regretfully came forward with this. And I would be calling on other members of the opposition to actually vote against this motion and for them to see it for what it is. Thank you.
No.